Apple is gearing up to transform smartphone photography with the iPhone 18 Pro Max, and the latest leaks point to a camera overhaul that tackles real problems: low light performance, zoom quality, and overall image realism. If you care about mobile photography and you've been waiting for a meaningful step forward, the iPhone 18 Pro Max camera upgrades variable aperture, a brighter telephoto lens for cleaner low-light zoom, and a strategic ultrawide sensor shift could be the leap that finally changes your everyday shots. There's a catch, though. These innovations are expected to remain exclusive to the Pro lineup, underscoring Apple's growing divide between standard and premium iPhone models. For years, two frustrations have followed the iPhone camera conversation: portraits that rely too heavily on software and zoom photos that fall apart once the light drops. With the iPhone 18 Pro Max, Apple is leaning into optics-first solutions. Instead of simulating depth of field and relying on aggressive post-processing, this camera system focuses on letting more light in, controlling that light more precisely, and capturing truer color and detail at the sensor level. The result should be images that look less processed and more professional, with consistent quality across 0.5x, 1x, 3x, and beyond. Let's start with the headline feature: variable aperture. This is a big photography first change for the iPhone 18 Pro Max camera. Variable aperture gives the lens physical control over how much light reaches the sensor, allowing the phone to shape depth of field and exposure in real time. For portraits, that means organic, DSLR-style background blur with cleaner subject edges, especially around hair, glasses, and textured fabrics, without the cutout look that purely software-based bokeh can create. For landscapes and street scenes, you can stop down for deeper focus, so foreground and background details stay crisp and controlled in bright daylight. A narrower aperture helps preserve highlight detail, keeping skies from blowing out and protecting color fidelity. In low-light environments, concerts, cozy restaurants, sunset cityscapes, the lens can open wider to pull in more light, reducing noise and preserving texture before the software even steps in. The payoff is a cleaner file at capture, more natural skin tones, less smudging in shadows, and a pleasing film-like roll-off in highlights. Variable aperture is not just another spec. It's creative control in your pocket, letting you choose the look you want before you press the shutter. Now let's talk zoom, because low light. Zoom has long been the Achilles heel of smartphone cameras. The iPhone 18 Pro Max is expected to feature a larger aperture on its telephoto lens, which means it can gather more light when you punch in. More light equals brighter, sharper telephoto shots in dim scenes, with reduced grain and better color. Think stadium seats at night, a candlelit moment across the table, or a stage performance from the back row scenarios, where zoom typically gets muddy, desaturated, and noisy. With a brighter telephoto lens, those challenging shots become usable again, giving you confident reach without sacrificing clarity. This upgrade isn't about inflating zoom numbers for a spec sheet. It's about making the zoom ranges you actually use look better in the real world. By improving the optics and letting the sensor work with cleaner data, Apple strengthens the foundation for both photos and the computational photography pipeline. You should see less reliance on heavy noise reduction, fewer watercolor textures, and more reliable detail retention. Even as the light drops, there's also a smart behind-the-scenes change on the ultrawide camera. Apple is reportedly shifting some sensors from Sony to Samsung for the iPhone 18 Pro Max. Samsung's latest ultrawide sensors are known for minimizing distortion at the edges, improving color consistency, and handling uneven lighting more gracefully, for creators and everyday users alike. That means ultra-wide photos that don't warp architecture, that hold sharpness toward the corners, and that don't fall apart at dusk. Whether you're capturing interiors, dramatic landscapes, travel vlogs, or big group shots, the ultra-wide lens becomes a dependable storytelling tool rather than a novelty you avoid after sunset. This supplier diversification also strengthens Apple's supply chain and signals a clear intent: squeeze more quality out of every focal length. By pairing variable aperture on the main camera with a brighter telephoto and a cleaner ultrawide sensor, Apple is addressing the complete camera experience: exposure, depth, detail, and color across the lenses you actually use day to day. Of course, There's an important context to all of this. Pro Model Exclusivity, the most advanced camera features, variable aperture, the upgraded telephoto for low-light zoom, and the refined ultrawide sensor are expected to remain locked to the iPhone 18 Pro and iPhone 18 Pro Max. This is Apple's strategy in plain sight. The Pro lineup is the technology showcase, the place where Apple pushes optics and sensor innovation for creators, enthusiasts, and anyone who prioritizes top-tier image quality. The standard models will still deliver solid, social-ready results, but without the optical flexibility and low-light confidence that define the Pro camera system. That deliberate divide actually makes the buying decision clearer. If photography is central to how you use your phone, if you care about natural bokeh, accurate skin tones, controlled highlights, and zoom shots that hold up at night, the iPhone 18 Pro Max is the obvious choice. If you want a straightforward, reliable camera for everyday snapshots at a lower price, the standard iPhone remains a strong, simple pick. Apple is building two camera identities, dependable for most, and deeply capable for those who want control and creative range. The real win here is how these changes address everyday frustrations. Variable aperture means more keeper shots in tricky lighting. A brighter telephoto means zoom photos that don't crumble after dusk. A better ultra-wide sensor means your widest angle doesn't lag behind your main lens in quality. All of this adds up to consistency, the kind of reliability that makes you trust your phone to capture the moment as you saw it. Without a dozen retakes or heavy editing, you should also feel an improvement in the way the images render. Expect cleaner microcontrast on faces and fabrics, fewer smeared details in foliage and hair, and more faithful colors across mixed lighting. With smarter optics feeding better data to Apple's image pipeline, computational photography can focus on refining instead of rescuing. The outcome is a more natural look with a professional edge. Whether you're shooting food, travel, street, portraits, or events. For creators, this camera system opens up new looks and work. Wide open, the variable aperture helps isolate subjects with tasteful background blur that looks optical, not artificial. Stop down. It's easier to tell richer visual stories where both subject and scene are in focus. Pair that with low-light telephoto that actually holds detail and color, and you're more likely to shoot at the focal length that best suits the story, not just the one that survives the lighting dot. As leaks suggest a continued focus on the Pro tier, the gap between the standard iPhone and the iPhone 18 Pro Max will feel larger than ever. That S, by design, Apple is segmenting its lineup to match different user priorities, simplicity and value for most people, and cutting-edge camera technology for those who want a serious creative instrument. If you've been waiting for a reason to move to the Pro side for photography, these upgrades make a compelling case. If you're considering an upgrade, ask yourself a few questions. Do you shoot a lot in dim restaurants, concerts, or evening city scenes? Do your zoom shots frequently look flat, noisy, or unusable after dark? Do you want more control over background blur and depth without relying on software masks? If the answer is yes, the rumored iPhone 18 Pro Max camera features are aimed squarely at you. They're not just about bigger numbers. They're about trust, control, and consistency in the moments that matter. To recap the core changes, the leaks point to the iPhone 18 Pro Max is expected to deliver a true variable aperture for authentic depth control and better exposure management, a brighter telephoto lens that dramatically improves low-light zoom quality, and a shift to Samsung sensors on some ultra-wide units for less distortion, truer color, and cleaner edges. Together, these upgrades promise a camera that's more versatile, more reliable, and more professional feeling across the board, especially in the challenging lighting where smartphone cameras traditionally struggle. If you're excited about the iPhone 18 Pro Max camera, tell me what matters most to you. Variable aperture for natural bokeh, cleaner low-light zoom, or a more dependable ultra-wide. And if you're sticking with the standard model, what would it take for you to switch? Your perspective helps shape which features really count in the next wave of smartphone photography.